Yo guys, project. We're here with the self-therapeutic psychiatry multimedia project. If you want to get an introduction and a summary as to what we do here on this channel, I'm breaking it down to domains of life, sub-series, all the jazz. You can find previous live streams for 3.5 years, way up to January 2021. And with that being said, we'll just cover what we want to cover today in terms of content. Roughly about 90 seconds. Let's go. The first phase is, of course, we're going to do some photography, a little bit of the stuff that we're going to do some commentary over, having to food, nutrition, cooking, grocery items, as well as even some equipment in terms of transportation equipment that I'm trying to try to purchase. That's what we have. Photograph is not too much. What we're going to do after that then is go into the second phase of the live stream. We have 3 phases. The second phase is going to be much more active. We're going to be moving around the room. And then the third phase is going to be task administrative. So you take on the left hand side, you can see all the stuff relating to relationships, storytelling, finance, business, employment, all that kind of stuff. All these topics are very important, and so that's probably near the end of the live stream. And then finally, the very last moment, we'll also, if we can fit in whatever time we have left, a take home message. So now I should mention at the very beginning 3 things. The first thing, disclaimer, everything I do here is just going to be real, raw, and genuine in terms of, sometimes it can be a little bit more fictional, but the fact is it's going to be covering the good, the bad, and the ugly in my life. It will cover sometimes insecurities and problems, and this may or may not be relatable to some of you, but I'm not going to be PC about this, so be forewarned. There will be some topics that can be negative in nature. There's no point in doing a time capsule if I'm not honest to myself, and I will do that with steadfast conviction. With that being said, another thing that I have to mention is that I'm going to start taking apart the structures of some of these streams and start experimenting further on. So it's possible that maybe even later down the stream the structure might not hold. I might just turn certain segments in on themselves, because if you take a look at the title right now and what you see is what you get, it does say something along the lines, it's very abstract, very confusing, and you know, it's supposed to pique interest if I put it that way, but also it does mean a lot for me. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's very cryptic, and one of those things is I'm going to restructure. I alluded to this maybe a week ago, that I want to turn the Ahn Rho Project even more further down the road of something that's useful to me. So these live streams should be useful to me. If they can't be useful for myself, how can they be useful for someone else? And so, you know, that's one reason why to pursue it, but really I just need these live streams to be useful for me, and if they're not, I'm going to stop it. Yesterday's live stream was called Meaningless Things. You can find that on Twitch, YouTube, or whatever. It was a very short thing, and it was just very quiet and introspective, and so all I was saying was that I should stop doing things that don't matter. And if it means that these live streams, once again, are taking me away from my goals, I've got to find a way to either turn them towards my goals, steer them in the right direction, or stop. With that being said, let's dive into the photography, and we'll move down. So the first segment we have here, depth foods as usual. You know, we have some food here that I've eaten that doesn't really belong to me, and I can show right here that's just my responsibility, my fault for eating food that plays into 30 years of domestic issues. Not go into that. I mentioned before, it's like 3 strangers in the same household. Basically right here we have some treats. At the very top, it's some Chinese food. Think of chao fan and yao ho. It's basically vegetarian, fried rice, and some noodles, as well as some, I believe, if I can pull up a photograph right now, what I can do is maybe give you a better snapshot. And here we go. So we have just 2 styrofoam boxes right here. Okay, on the inside it looks a little bit more like this over here. So it's just fried rice. So this is a nice kind of, not that great resolution, but that is the photograph of the food. Depth food, class 2 item, meaning something I'm not supposed to touch, but I did. Okay, moving on. We have now some grocery items here that I actually purchased, maybe about 10 different items, obviously, but I'm only going to cover a few key highlights here. And this is the pineapple pastry, which is a new item. I'm just testing and trying out something I haven't tried before. So this Norman Sue Bakery, you can pick this up from maybe an item inside like the bakery section of your grocery store. It's just something I never tried. I put it in the microwave. It tastes amazing. I like the texture. It has that traditional Cantonese Hong Kong style, you know, Hong Kong po tao. It's like very, very nice traditional bakery item. And that's great. So I bought about, other items as well, which you see in the backdrop. We're gonna get to that in a second, like about a minute or so. Once we're done with photography, the last item here on photography is this kind of Zetra blade, rollerblade. So you can find this even if you do a Google search, or if you do an Amazon search, you can find these rollerblades. And I've been searching for an item that sort of, again, I'm trying to meet my own expectations. I have a certain image of what I would like to be able to do with my life and where I'm going. And I, of course, have this strange, unhealthy obsession with independence and isolation, but also of competence and of being free. Really, that's to be free of the prison that I've set myself in for a long time now. And so, very figurative, very metaphorical, but believe me, it has a lot to do with a six-figure debt and neglect and a lot of beat downs and being treated as a punching bag, but also a lot of just generational issues passed on from third world countries into my grandparents, to my own guardians, and over onto me. And so at the end of the day, no one's to blame, but everyone has to hold themselves accountable. And as a part of myself trying to survive and reach success, which I have an idea what that looks like, I have to be able to get around aside from just using the public transit. And so the rollerblades are going to be a part of that. I have a bike and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, there's got to be some other things that meet up to my own expectations. And so I went to a shopping mall, took a look. That's the only size they have, size 10. So we're talking about logistics now. In terms of this, it's cost about $150 plus tax, probably 180. I would say that they only had one model left, the service guy said. So I'm going to have to purchase this online somewhere with a different size and make do with that and try it out, and hopefully things go well. I also had to get all the other equipment, protective equipment to do with my padding, with like the knee pads, a helmet, stuff like that. Also, one thing I missed when I was scouting out this kind of stuff at the shopping mall, I was sort of gone by. Now, the other shopping mall didn't have any blades, so like I said, that's what I do online, but there are other things I need to pick up, like a smart. First of all, I need a podcasting. I need to improve my podcasting equipment, my live streaming equipment. If I'm going to do proper capture of all the domains of life, like finance, relationships, material stuff, non-material stuff, I still have to be able to increase the quality of the volume and to be able to move around my room freely. So that means, having a mic, first of all, that's better. And secondly, also having that mic be able to move around. So I'm going to need like an arm, one of those extendable professional arms. And that's something I've been really trying to just put off for a long time because I know it's expensive. That being said, those two pieces of equipment I'm going to need, a mic and the kind of adjustable arm that goes with it. Next, on top of that, I'm thinking about obviously the lighting in the backdrop right now. So we're gonna get up in the room right now. Okay, so the lighting is pretty shit. It's got this kind of warm lighting. In terms of sleep, that's good for you, but I've done some research, and obviously we need some kind of cold, cooler blue light, especially when I'm doing the streams right now, and video content, stuff like that would require something like that a little bit better. And generally speaking, that's how it's better for you when you're working, and I certainly work a lot inside the room that I'm renting out. Again, 5 different families and households and tenants inside the same house. I'm not gonna get into that, but the point is I need to switch up for a smart bulb or something like that, be able to turn the lights from warm to cool and stuff like that, and suit it towards working. It's not a high priority item, but it's something that I'll probably get done within the next couple of months. Like I said, not too important. Let's move on to important things now. So moving around the room, you can see everything's a mess. A7 looks nothing like it did about a week ago. It was super crisp and clean. It's now completely like that. I don't know what that is. Same thing with D1, region D1 right here, D2. So there's region A, region B, region C, and D, and EFG we're not going to talk about. We're going to break all these sections into C1, C2, C2, C3, 4, right? And so this A7, and it has a whole bunch of paperwork here. Let's cover the most important things right now. Yesterday I went so we're going to transition over to dental and health and medications and stuff like that. So I did go to see my dentist yesterday, a good friend of mine. So we're going to talk about 04, as you see in the title, contacts. And 03 is contacts. I made a mistake there. And 04 is health. So we're talking about dentistry and people. So my pediatric dentist is a good long-time friend of mine, obviously for the past 2 decades and a half. We've been doing business with her. She's also been just a phenomenally caring and competent person in general, very responsible, very understanding. So I jump back regularly between my regular adult dentist and also just to see her and just help her own business. I don't mind being around kids like that. She has even given stories of how she's had one of her clients who is actually in their 40s now, has been married, has kids, and she still sees her. And so that's the kind of thing here. It's just a kind of wholesome kind of thing, helping someone who's really taking care of your health by continuing to stay with them and give them business, even if it means that you're going to jump back and forth between other healthcare professionals. That's that. So I have all the paperwork here in terms of medical insurance. I still have to go online to make sure I submit some of this stuff because jumping back and forth involves a little bit of complications. It also plays into employment. I mentioned in my previous live stream I also resigned, and I have several envelopes here so that I'm going to have to write up. Something just fell. First of all, one of these has to be, I have to write in to the address of the dentist I have right now, so that I can file away the papers neatly. I need to have another one where I had a rough draft of the letter of resignation, but I didn't submit it in paper, a hard copy, to my HR. I need to write it, I need to correct that rough draft, which has some errors, and then submit it in person, aside from just from email, which is what I did last week. We also have some cards here. We have the receipts for the groceries, which we're going to get to in a second. So we're going to talk about garbage and recyclables. But we also have this benefits card and, of course, the card from my dental appointment. So that's all kind of stuff that needs to get done. Underneath, you can see also here the receipts and the invoicing. Not too shabby. I have to deal with income tax as well. And inside this binder here is just basically a little bit of stuff. I want to put, of course, the envelope inside. The letter of resignation inside an envelope inside that clipboard before I bring it to work, otherwise it's going to get all crumpled up. Let's turn to the side now and talk about groceries and shit that we got to throw away. So we have this stuff here. This is some chips, some groceries. All of this is going to be filed under, I believe, 07. So that's inventory. Database 07. And so you take a look at the title. It does say, for the first time, this is going to be a common theme now. It says system code. And this will play on words, if this then that kind of thing, right? We're thinking about programming. But really, if I'm programming my life here, I gotta sort of organize and sort out, the domains of life, which I never really put on stream. I only save that for the Excel's database, databasing. And so what I've designated the tags as 01 and 02, 01 and 0, just null itself. Those are kind of like high general information systems, philosophy, psychology, knowledge, and organization and management. And then we move down to about 07. That gets into stuff like inventory, food, groceries, materials, equipment. And so that's where this all belongs here. All this trash and garbage even would be like 11. So we have some toilet paper, class 2 items. We talked about this previous live stream. We're just going to breeze through all this. We have some chips. We got some of this stuff that's to be recycled. Talking about the dentist is a class 4 item. All the groceries are class 1 items. And the thing over the toilet paper is class 2, as in it's not supposed to be something I use. But as a class 4 item, obviously we have this kind of Sensodyne, Colgate. And Animal Health, we have these some floss, some stuff here I received yesterday, and toothbrush. Like a goodie bag. Gotta find a way to stash it somewhere, move it to A7. Most likely it will move into region C2. With the rest of the groceries here, I gotta take out the bag. You can see there are a lot of depth food items I should mention immediately. We have these stuff that I will keep myself, like the bread and bananas, but we also have these things that I bought as class 4 items and class 2 items that I'm returning to my guardians because I binge ate. There was a stress eating situation, and that's my fault, nobody else, my responsibility. We have 2 boxes of these Ritz crackers and a canister of chips, as well as trail mix. All 4 of these items I intend on giving over to my guardians, which are in a different tenant household. Okay, with that being said, last thing, we have only about 20 seconds left. It says in the people, can people plus love equals what? Okay, so this has to bleed into the next live stream, but basically, if I'm going to make the streams useful, I have to start doing what I want to, which is to express gratitude for some of the colleagues and people in my life. That being said, properly and database it. This is Ahn Rho signing out. I don't have enough time. Ciao.